Hi, my name's David, and I'm here to show you how to create an information technology company in Deskera. Let's click on Books. Inside here I can see things to do, like set up your company, import your data, connect to a bank, create your first invoice, complete organization profile. So the first thing we're going to do is set up your company, and we're going to click Set Up Now. Inside here we can update the company name. We can choose which country you're from. We can choose which currency you want to use. We can change the financial year start date, and we can change the book beginning date. So what is book beginning date? It means on this date and going forward, you can start inputting your transactions into the system. Everything before this date is considered your opening. So you'll input your opening chart of accounts, you'll input your opening stock and its value, and you'll input any opening invoices and opening bills. These are any transactions that are still open and have not been completed. Next it says, do you collect taxes? This is based upon which country you selected here, and it's based upon your country tax compliance. So for example, I selected the United States of America, so it's asking me this question. If I select a different country, other information will appear. If not, the information will appear under Complete Organization Profile or your organization profile. Let's click Create. Congratulations! Your Information Technology Private Limited organization has been set up successfully. So it says, let's import your data so we can start running your business straight away. And it's asking me explore the app first or import. Let's explore the app first. Let's click on Complete Organization Profile. So let's click Settings. And let's input the information. So under Organization, this is where I can add an image. I can see my company name, see my tax registry, and I can select my date format. So based upon which country you're in, you may have day, day, month, month, year, 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 year. Or maybe month, month, day, day, year, 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 year. So you can select it accordingly. Under Finances, I can see my financial start date, book beginning date, reporting currency, number of decimal places. So please take note, I can increase them. So for example, to 3 or 4. But after I increase it, I cannot decrease it to 3 or 2. So you can increase the number of decimal places, but after you increase it, you cannot decrease it. So please take note of that. This is where I can select the number format. I can enable multi-currency. So for example, maybe Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, for example. And I can save it. And I can always add more currencies later on. And I'll show you where to do that. Next, let's click on Compliance. So this is again based upon your country tax compliance. Since I selected US, this is what information shows. If I select a different country, other information will show. For example. Now let's go to Address, and let's put in the address. And then I can just select it, and it populates, and I can add other addresses if required. And then I can click Update. Now my organization profile has been updated. Next, let's click on Settings, and let's click on Currency. So inside here, I can see all the different currencies, and if I want to activate one, I just can click on the eye icon here. If I want to activate multiple, I can just select them here and click Activate. Now, if I want to deactivate them, I again click on the eye icon, or I can select them and click Deactivate. I can also view and change the rate of my active currency by clicking Change Rate. So I can see the exchange rates here, effective date and timestamp. And if I wish to update it, I can just update it directly up here and click Save. So my deactivated currency, if I want to view the rate, I just click View Rate here. And I can see it. Next, let's go to Settings, and let's click on Payment Terms. Inside here, I can see all the different payment terms, and I can add a payment term. For example, net 60, put in the term days, and save. I can also use as default by clicking this box. Let's click on settings and let's click on unit of measurement. And I can add a here. For example, maybe, let's see, metric tons or MT, and save it. And I can also edit and delete it here. I can also see my other units of measurements here, such as hours, pieces, meters, default. Next, let's click on settings and let's click on custom fields and let's click create. Inside here, you can create your different types of custom fields. For example, you can create a text box, multi-selection drop-down, numbers. And based on what type of company you are, you can choose what type of field you want to create. So for an IT company, maybe it'll be a project. And then I can select a multi-selection drop-down. I can add options. For example, maybe I want project code and maybe a name, like CRM, for example. Another one. John, HRMS. So just to give you an example, and then we can select availability. Is it under invoices and bills, quotation, purchase order? Do I want to see under my debit and credit, deposits and expenses? We also have the ability to put it under accounting, journal, product, and contacts. So maybe journals. I also want to add it in. And then I can click create. And you can see my custom field has been created. Next, let's click on settings. This is where you can create your document template. You can see your audit trail, your import log. If it's a blue file, it's your original file. If it's green, it's what's imported. And if you see a red file, that's what's been rejected. We can also connect to email. So this is where I can put in the sender name, email address, username, password, server host name, and port number. Once I connect this up, then when I send my invoice, it'll be sent by this email address. I can also set up my sequence number. And I can choose to add in additional sequence numbers here. And you can see it's different for quote, invoice, order, and bill. Next, let's go back to the dashboard and let's click import your data. Let's select contacts and let's import the data. Let's download the sample file and let's open it. Now we're at the contact import template. But what is a contact? A contact can be a customer or vendor. The system determines this based upon which transactions a contact is related to. For example, if a contact creates a sell transaction, it's a customer. If a contact creates a buy transaction, it's a vendor. And if a contact creates both a buy and sell transaction, it's both a customer and a vendor. So let's look at what fields we have in here. We have sequence code. That's the unique identifier of the contact. You can manually input it here, or you can just leave it blank and our default sequence code will automatically be populated. Contact name, US currency email, receivable account, payable account, and this is where you can input the payment terms. This is where you can put in the billing address, shipping address, and here you see the tax information. This is again based upon the country tax compliance. So this information will change based upon which country you selected. I selected the US, so it's asking for tax number, is tax exemption, and tax exemption reason. Let's save and let's upload. Now I can just drag and drop the file into here. I can also click browse, select the file, and then click open. You do not have to use our contact template. If you have your own template with your own contacts already in there, you can just drag and drop it into here. Then click next. And then you can see it's auto-mapped. But if you're using your own template, you can click here and select the fields you want. So, for example, maybe it's not contact name. Maybe it's another name. And then I can go here and select which field it relates to. I can also say, do not import this column or create a custom field. So I can create a custom field directly from the screen. I do not have to go to settings to create it. If everything looks good, let's click next. Inside here, we have the import properties. So we have our import options. Add new records, update existing records, or add new and update existing records. In case of duplicate records, reject the duplicate, Import the duplicate rows. In case of invalid values, reject the entire row, reject the invalid value, but import the row, add the value in the drop-down. So you can select which options you want. Then after that, you can check the information here. If everything looks good, I can click Submit. If I need to change something on the screen, for example, payment terms, for example, maybe net 10, then I can update it here on the screen, and if it applies to the entire column, I can click here. Then I can click Submit. Then I can click on my contacts, and I can see that they've been added. Next, let's click on Products, and let's click Import Products. Inside here, we have tracked and non-tracked products and BOM products. So you can select which one you want to import. But what is a tracked and non-tracked product? A tracked product can be, for example, a computer, laptop, mic, mouse. It can be a digital products like ebooks or software. Non-tracked products can be like services, for example, consulting. It could also be electrician, aircon repair, or even certified public consultant doing auditing. It's up to you to determine what type of products you need based upon your company. We also have bill of materials, or BOM products. Bill of materials is an assembly product, so a bunch of components coming together to form a final product. You can think of it like a desktop, which has your motherboard, CPU, hard drive, fan, and casing, and you just put it all together and form it with some assembly cost. You can also think of it like chicken soup with noodles, vegetables, chicken broth, chicken, and you cook it and it becomes your soup. You can also think of it like packages. For example, your hotel rooms, airplane tickets, helicopter ride, you can package it all together and form a package. So we're going to upload tracked and non-tracked products, and we're going to download the sample file, and we're going to open it. Now we're in the product template. Inside here you can see sequence code, so this is your unique identifier of each product. Your product name, product type, is it tracked or non-tracked. Product description, purchase account, purchase price, sales account, sales price. Is it taxable? So this is again based upon your country's tax compliance. If I selected the US, so it says is taxable. Let's put maybe true. It could be false. And it changes based upon which country. So if I select a different country, this information should change. Unit of measurement, opening quantity, opening valuation. So this is, the opening valuation is the total value of your opening quantity. So for example, if I put 5 here and I put here 2,344, it means that these 5 quantities is equal to 2,344. But since these are non-tracked products, the value should be 0. Cost of goods sold account, inventory account, stock adjustment account, your warehouse, purchase return account, sales return account. After all the information is filled in, you can just save it, and then we can go import it. Next, we're just going to drag and drop the file into here. If you have your own product file, you don't need to use our template. You can just fill in the data and just drag and drop it into here. Then let's click Next. We can see the fields have mapped. If you're using your own template and the field does not map, you can go and select the field here. You can choose Do Not Import this column, or you can create a custom field directly from the screen. You do not have to go back to settings. Let's click Next. And again, we have our import options. So the import option, in case of duplicate records and in case of invalid values, you can select what you want here. I can look here and see if everything looks correct. If something does not look correct, I can change it directly on the screen. And then I can click Submit. Then I can go back to Products, and I can see it's been created. Next, let's go to Accounting. Inside here is where I can create my chart of accounts. I can also import them, create my journal entries and my bank transfer, input my opening balance. So this is where I can input my debit and credit for my accounts, input my opening valuation, opening quantity, and create my opening sales invoices and opening bills. And we have the import option for each. This is where I can create debit note, credit note, expenses, deposits, and this is where I can set up my financial year. I can choose the closing period, the retained earnings account, and save. And once I want to close it, I just click on close period, put in the period name and the closing period. Next, let's click on banks. Inside here, I can add a bank account. So for example, Fargo. I can update the code, select the currency, and input the description. I can click Save and Next. Then I can click Get Started, and I can select my bank. So for example, Wells Fargo, and I can input my username and password. But if I cannot find my bank, I can just type it in here. And then I can search for it, and click on it, and input my information as well. If I do not want to select a bank, I can close it. I can click Skip. And that's if you want to connect your bank account to pull in your bank statement for bank reconciliation. We also have the ability to import statement here as well. And we have a template. Or if you have your own file, you can just drag and drop it into here, so long as it's a CSV or an XLSX file. And then you can just do the mapping. Next, let's click on Sell. And let's create an invoice. Inside here, I can add a contact. And if I want to, I can create a new contact here by just clicking on that and putting in the name and information. So click on New Contact to create one. If I want to search for my contact, I just type in the name. I can select my project from my custom field that I created. I can add in a line item. For example, consulting services, software. I can put in the quantity. For example, maybe 10 hours. I can update the description if I want to. Input a discount, attach a file, put in a memo in here. Under custom field settings, I can hide the custom field or make them visible. I can set as recurring. So inside here, I can set it for yearly, monthly, weekly, or custom. An example of this may be software as a service, where they have to renew every year. So I can set it yearly. If I want to, I can also set it custom, and I can choose how many days, weeks, or months. I can select the first document date, and when does it end, or does it never end? Then inside here, I can update the recurring document, sender name, send to, reply to, subject, and I can place in placeholders, for example, contact name. I can modify the email, and I can send a copy to myself, and I can choose the template here, and I can save it. Under More, I can add multi-currency options. So for example, if I don't want this in US dollars, I can select Australian dollars or Canadian dollars, the ones that we selected. And if I do that, I can also update the amount here if I want to, the exchange rate. I can set up payments, so I connect to Veeam, Stripe, PayPal, or is it not applicable? To receive payments and send out payment links. I can manage it. So, for example, these labels may not be correct for my company. I may want to change it to service, notes, change the quantity or UM, price, or discount labels, and I can save it. And you can see it updated. Then I can save and close. Next, we can click on 3 dots, and we can click on Fulfill. So for example, the software is fulfilled, how many consulting hours have been consumed. So for example, they may be consumed on different days. And that way I can keep track of it. So if I drill in here, I can see my fulfillment. Next, we can click Get Paid. Now I can select my bank, for example, the Wells Fargo Bank. Is it a bank transfer? I can choose the reference date, reference number. For payment type, we have 3 options: check, bank, and card. And I can also adjust the price here. So if I want to do partial, I can do partial as well. Click Next and receive payment. Close. And I can see partial payment here. When I click Get Paid again, you can see the remaining amount available. and receive. Next, let's click on reports. Inside here, I can see all my financial reports, profit and loss, balance sheet, cash flow. And under profit and loss, for example, I can click filter and I can add a custom field here. And I can select my project, for example, and select the value. And then I can save it. We also have balance sheet, cash flow, general ledger, bank reconciliation summary, statement of accounts, and this is your tax compliance reports. And it changes based upon each country. Since I selected the US, it shows me the state tax report. But if I selected a different country, it'll show me a different tax reports here. We have our purchase reports, age payable, bill list, payment list, debit notes. We have our inventory. So if you have stock, we can see here, of course, your stock available by warehouse, your agent report. And we have our sales reports. For example, age receivables, quotation, sales by products, receipt list, credit notes, and outstanding sales fulfillment report. Finally, let's go to apps. Inside here, we have our different payment gateways like Veeam, PayPal, Stripe, and Wise. If I want to receive payment from a customer, I can do that through Veeam, PayPal, and Stripe. Please take note, Veeam requires your base currency to be USD. You can also make payment to your vendor using Veeam and Wise. We have our fixed assets here as well. We can track our shipments using USPS, FedEx. We have our stock transfer, stock adjustment. We connect to multiple different types of applications using Integrately, Pabbly, Zapier, and Integromat. We can also connect to different e-commerce sites using eCom. Like we can connect to Amazon, Shopify, and WooCommerce. So all you do is click open, then you connect to Deskera, then you connect to the Amazon account or the Shopify account or WooCommerce account, and then you can see your orders, customers, and products for all three. All right. And that's a quick look at Deskera Books. Let's next click on Books, click on Switch To, and let's go to Sales. Inside here, we can see the organizations, people, deals lost, deals won, contact report, upcoming activities, deal stage, deals won versus deals lost, campaign, and tickets. Of course, we haven't input in any information, so of course it doesn't show except for organizations. Why does it show organizations? We are integrated with Deskera Books. So once a contact is created in Books, it'll sync to CRM or Sales. And once a contact is created in Sales, it'll sync to Books. Next, let's go to Settings. Inside here, we have User Settings, and we have Team Settings. This is where I can create additional teams. If I drill in, I can see my teams. And what is a team? Under Contacts and Deals, you can select the visibility. Is it private, just the owner, sub-owner? Is it the team, so the team can see it? Or is it public, so everyone can see it? So this is where you define your teams. This is where I can create custom fields. So inside here, text box, single selection drop-down menu, numbers, country, currency, and dates. These are the types of field I can create, and I can make it available under Contacts and Deals. Under Email, this is where I connect an email. I can put in the sender name, email address, username, and password. For incoming mail, this is where I can put the incoming mail server and port, and the outgoing mail server and port. And I can allow non-secure certificates. Once I input all the information, I can save it. This will allow me to send emails from that email address in Contacts as well as in Deals. Next, let's click on Integration Settings. Inside here, this is where I can connect my Microsoft 365, my Google Tag Manager, and my webhooks. Now we're in Guide, so this is where I can create my support domain. For example, IT Demo. Let's search. And I see it's not been assigned, so I can assign it. And inside here, this is where I can add my hero image, my logo, my favicon. Under Settings, this is where I can activate my Help Center, and I can remove the Power by Deskera logo. After everything looks good, I can save and open. And I can see my sections and if I have any articles. I'll show you where to create the articles and sections later. Next, we have Tickets. So this is where I can add my support email by inputting the information here. Once I have set up my support email, When someone sends to that email address, a ticket will be created in Deskera CRM or Deskera Sales. Then we have the audit trail. We have preferences. So this is where you can deactivate the Powered by Deskera logo in Campaign and Web to Form. We can also see the import log by clicking on import log here. Next, let's go to contacts. Inside here, I can see all my different contacts. I can select them. I can change visibility, for example, to everyone. I can change the labels, for example, warm. Let's change this one to cold. And I can change the placement of the columns. So for example, maybe I want labels to go higher up. Don't really care about visibility. And I can add additional fields in here as well. And I can save it. And if you have custom fields, they'll also reflect here under this drop-down. Next, let's go to marketing. Inside here we have segments. So this is where I can add a segment. I can select the ones I want. I can put in the name, for example. And we have filters. We can filter by owner, sub-owner, visibility, and label. And I can add custom field filters here. The reason for this is I may have a large number of contacts, and I want to filter them out based upon different custom field criteria. So this is where I can add it and filter it out, and then be able to select it. After that, I can save it. Next, let's click on emails, and let's add an email template. Inside here, I can put the name, and I can just drag and drop what I want. Like I want 2 columns, I can drag and drop here. If I want to add an image, I can drag and drop it here. And then I can just drag and drop the image inside here, and click on it, and you can see it added. I can also drag and drop text here. For example, hi. And I can add a placeholder, for example, first name. And I can go and say, hi. We have a great deal for you, for example. I can also add contact details here. And you can read here, you can't remove or hide the unsubscribe link or any other footer element required by consumer privacy and anti-spam law. The physical address displayed in the footer is taken from the company details. And I can also manually input it here as well. And I can save it, and it's updated. I can see full screen. I can view the code. I can toggle the images on and off. And I can import a template. So if you have your own email template, you can paste the HTML right into here. We also have here links, link blocks, list items, image group, image text, and box text. So for example, list items I can list here. And if I want to see what it looks like on the desktop, the tablet, or the mobile phone, I can click on it to make sure everything looks correct. If everything's good, I can click Save. Next, let's click on Forms, and let's add a form. And I can add a form to contact and deal. So what is a form? Once I create a form, it'll give me some code, and that code I can embed into my web page, and the form will show up there. Once the client or contact inputs the information in there for contact or deals, it'll populate in my Deskera system under contacts and deals. So for example, form name, contact. I can drag and drop the email address, drag and drop the phone number. I can click on the field that I want to make mandatory. And if everything looks good, I can go next. I can also add a custom field here as well. I can display the thank you message or redirect to another page. So I can put in the URL here. Send a notification, assign owner, sub-owner, visibility, and I can assign a label. Then I can click publish. And here's the code. So this is where you can copy the code and then paste it into your web page. Then the form will be displayed and they can fill in the information there. Next, let's click on campaign and let's create a campaign. Let's put in the name. the subject, the category, so I can add a category here, save it. I can click next, select my segment, create a segment, click next, select my templates. I'm going to use one of these predefined templates, and I'm going to save and continue. Then you click next. Then you can use Deskera's email service or use my own. Then I can add an email, fill in the data, and save it. I can add up to 5 accounts. If I want to use Deskera's email service, I put in the sender's name, email address, and then I can just click verify to verify it. If I want to schedule for later, I can click here, and I can change the timing. Let's do 4:30. And then I can schedule it, or I can save it as a draft. Next, let's go to Services and go to Guide. So this is where I can add my additional sections or add my article. If I want to add an article, I can change the font, bold, italicize, underline, strike through. I can indent, put in lists, numbers, change the font size, link, unlink, and I can insert an image. So I can just start typing here, put in the information, and change it however I'd like. I can see the visibility, signed in users, everyone, and I can put it under which section, and I can put in the author's name. And so, for example, hi, everyone. Insert the picture, put in the title, and I can save or save and publish. I'm just going to save it. Now let's go to support. So inside here, I can see my different supports. Oh, activities, okay. Article saved. Let's go to supports. I can see my different views. I should see any tickets here that were emailed to the support email link. I can manage my views here. Add a ticket view, for example, David. Select the field. Assignee condition is value David. And I can add additional conditions and save it. And it's added. Next, let's go to deals. So this is where I can create a deal. I can see the default pipeline. If I click here, I can add a pipeline. So based upon your requirements, you can add your own pipeline and the number of stages you require. Then I can put in the name, help desk, probability, and rotting days, how many days before it rots. So let's create a deal. So I can click on create deal or the plus sign to create a deal. I can put in the name. Put in the organization, contact person. I can put in the name here. And I can go and put in the value. And then I can save it. After that, I can drill in. I can edit it over here. Edit deal, delete deal. I connect my email. If it's connected, I can email directly from here. I can create an activity such as a call. I can change the start time and add start date and time and end date and time. Any notes, I can assign it to myself or anybody else. Contact person. Organization. And then I can save it. And I can send reminder emails to assignees and send reminder emails to contacts. And it's been added. I can add in any notes, any logs. Also under activities, I can edit it here and delete it, and I can mark this button, click here to mark it done. After that, I can just drag and drop on which stage it's in. And I can drag it into won or lost based upon my requirements, or I can just click here, deal 1. And I can also see here the list view of all my deals. Next, let's go to activities. Inside here, I can generate a calendar URL, copy and paste it to my calendar, and then I'll be able to see all my activities in there. For example, my call. I can also go here and see my activities. I can filter out by their type, to do, and done. And that was a quick look at Deskera Sales. Next, let's click on the Switch to, and let's go to Deskera People. Now we can input the country. For example, United States of America, the address, and you can see the data auto-populates when I click on it. Click Next. Then I could put in the pay schedule. So for example, monthly. And you can create multiple ones because sometimes your employees work maybe one day through Friday for office staff and maybe for the shop floor Monday through Saturday or Sunday based upon your requirements. I can select the payday and the first pay date and click Next. I can add in my first employee, the email address, I can input the basic salary, and I can choose, is it per year, per month, or per hour? I would recommend you create your employees at the Employee tab. We have an import option with all the country compliance data there, so that way you can update it correctly. Let's click Finish. Sit back and relax while we set up your organization. Now we're at the dashboard. Let's go to Settings. Let's go to Company Settings. Inside here, I can see my company details, my work week, my offboarding checklist. And if you have any other country compliance information, it will show here as well. I can go to Performance. I can set my appraisal cycle schedule, appraisal period frequency. I can go to my tax details. So this information will change based upon the country you selected and the country compliance. Since I selected the US, you can see the federal tax details here. We can go to Payslip. Inside here, I can see my custom payslips. I can create a payslip here. And I can clone our default one and make some changes as well. So for example, copy, insert the text. Then I can select your different placeholders. And the placeholders will change based upon your country's compliance. For example, Social Security number, I can insert here because I selected the United States, but if you select a different country, different information will show. Next, we have the import log here, so if I import any data, I can see it. Let's go to employees. Let's click on employee list. And inside here is where we can import our employees, and you can download the sample file. If you already have a file, you can actually just drag and drop it into here, so long as it's a CSV or an XLSX file, and then you can map the columns. I'm just going to edit Frank Thomas. Put in his designation, date of birth, put in his joining date. I can also put in his date of confirmation, put in his address, set his effective date for salary. So if it's not immediately, it's after a certain period, I can select effective from here. If not, I can turn that off. I can select the employee type. Is he full-time, part-time, casual? Payment method, direct deposit, cash, or check. Click Next. I can add any fixed components, variable components, or any benefits here. And then this is your compliance information. So based on which country you selected, the tax details will change. So for example, I selected the US, so of course, Social Security number, EIC code, other income, extra withholding, return all states. So the information changes. After that, I can click Save. Next, we can click on Components. This is where you can add a component. So for example, maybe bonus. Add in the type, earning. Is it fixed or is it a variable? And is it based upon percentage of basic salary, percentage of specific components, or amount per day for the days worked? So you can determine that. I can also determine the frequency, every pay run, monthly, quarterly, or yearly. And for example, this is earning, but if it's a deduction, you can think of it like vision insurance, health insurance, group term life, stuff like that. And I can save it. Let's click on pay schedules, and inside here is where I can add additional pay schedules. Let's go to pay run. Inside here I can add a pay run. Select monthly. I can select the work period. I can say, is it for all users or a specific user? So just for this case, we're going to use Frank Thomas, and we're going to proceed. Inside here, I can see the employee overtime. So for example, I can put in the number of hours, so maybe 10 hours, and I can change the OT rate. I can see additional earnings, deductions, and employer tax and net pay. This changes again based upon the country compliance. Since I selected US, I can see federal, and I can see the state as well here. I can click next. Check and see if all the information looks correct. Click process payroll, and this pops up. To ensure accuracy, please review your payroll numbers and make sure they are 100% correct. Do you wish to continue to process payroll? Yes. Then I can view the summary here. If everything looks good, then I can click finish. And the payroll is complete. Next, I can click on employee list. I can click on the employee, and I can see his payslip here. Next, let's click on reports. Inside here, I can see my payroll report. And based upon the country compliance, I can see the different reports here. This will change based upon which country you selected. Since I selected the US, I see W2, W3, W4, Form 941, Form 944, and Form I-9. And 1099 Miss is all here. So you can see all the forms here. Again, it changes based upon which country is selected. Let's go to eLeave. Inside here, if I click on settings and leave management, I can create a new leave type. I can put in the number of days, leave prorate, leave accrual, one-time, monthly, yearly. Is it carried forward? So maximum leave carry forward leave days, any description. Is it based upon gender? You can think of this like maternity or paternity leave. You can select based upon marital status. Do you allow unpaid leave? And you can also select years of service, for example, 1 through 5, maybe 10 days leave, 5 through 10, 12, and for example, 10 through 50, 14. Just to give you an example, you can set up the years of service range here. Once everything's done, you can save it. Next, you can do leave adjustment here, and you can add new leave adjustments by clicking this. You can set up the yearly holidays by clicking yearly holidays and putting in the holiday name, description. Does it occur every year? It's one time. Under user management, you can set up teams. So this is where you can see who's the manager and who's the user. So for example, in this case, David approves Frank's leave. So I can add and create multiple teams and add additional users to each team. Under company settings, I can see the company details and the work week here. Next, let's go to expenses. Inside here, let's click on settings or admin settings, and this is where I can create my expense groups. So I can see the different employees, I can add them. I can create a new group based upon my requirements, and I can assign a manager. So for example, if I assign David as manager, then he'll be assigned to approve Frank Thomas's claims. I can also create a category here. So if I click here, category, and for example, golf, and I can assign it to my expense group, because not all categories will apply to each group. Different expense groups may have different categories based upon their job requirements. Next, I can click on New Claim. I can put all my information, and I can drop a receipt in here, and then submit. And then we can go for the approval process. And that was a quick look at people.